G'day guys. So I thought some of you guys might want a little bit of an update on my seeding table. So I thought I'd show you how it's actually working and go through some of the problems that I've had after making it and what's actually working now. As you can see, it's working quite well. The lettuce seems to be growing. I've got little tomatoes popping up. I've got some basil coming along. Actually, I'll show you a closer picture. Okay, so as you can see, there's some nice little basil here. I've got some lettuce that have popped up from seed, and a little bit further down, and you can see some of these guys here, which are rhubarb. I haven't grown them from seed before, but they seem to be coming up alright, and I'll see how they go. Okay, so initially when I made it, the plan was to use little sensors that would sense the water inside of it and get them to turn the water on and off, but I found it was quite unreliable. It was either little sensors that I got, and I couldn't find more expensive ones that would do the job well, so I had to scrap that, and I basically just got it on a little timer. It seems to be working quite well, but one of the other things I discovered is there wasn't enough nitrogen in this mixture here to have enough growth. I put peas in there, and the peas went like mad, and then the lettuce, they just seemed very stunted and they wouldn't grow very well. So I've been putting a little bit of supplements. I've been putting some Charlie Carp seaweed extracts or plant fish extract stuff inside of it, and it seems to be working quite well. But I thought I'd show you how I usually replant this and put it in the system after it's grown, because they're at a quite a good size now and they're ready to transplant into something else. So I'll show you how that works. Okay, so I'm going to transplant these, and the first thing I do is to click on the water. And you can see the water starting to come out, and it will fill up the grow bed. So it'll put a whole lot of water in there, and it will make it easier to transplant everything. So it's getting a little bit late for the season, but I thought I might move some of my basil into the other beds and move some of the lettuce into their permanent parts of the bed. So I've got another little problem while that fills up. I need to do a little bit of maintenance on this bed here, because everything's gone to seed and it's just a bit of a mess. So I will pull out everything and then move on from there. Okay, so that's about ready, and I'll get to moving all the other stuff over. Okay, so as you can see, I have the bed here nice and flooded, which is where I want it. And these are little net cups. So these are what sit inside of the DWC beds and what I'm going to transplant the lettuce into. But since this is nice and moist, it's quite easy. So I'll grab one that I want and then drop it all straight in there. So I'll select the one that I like. Okay, so they are all pretty much done, and I'll just take you for a little bit of a walk around and show you them. So these are the lettuces that I've just pulled out of it. And I'll show you how easy it is to get them into the system. Okay, so now that I've got them here, it's really quite easy to put them in. So I'll just drop them straight in their little holes, and do that for all of them. So all in their holes. Okay, so I think I've missed the window with the tomato in this in Australia at the moment. It's going to get a little bit too cold for them soon, but the seedling here looks quite nice already. So I figure it's a shame if I don't actually do anything with it. So this one is a little black truffle tomato. So I'm going to do something a little bit different. This is a grow grip, and it sits straight in the water. So you drop your little plant in like that, and it sits like that. Roots and all straight in the system, shake off a few roots, and then I'll go put that directly into the DWC bed. And then it's nothing more complex than dropping that straight in there. And that's about it. And hopefully it'll grow up and we'll see how it goes. But the temperature might get to it before it does anything, but we shall see quite shortly. So lucky last is the basil here. I'm planning on collecting some seeds from this, so I've let it grow, but I don't need all the seeds that I've got here. So I'm going to transplant some more basil out here, and I'm going to pull some of this out, and then transplant it in. But you can see the roots. The root system from these plants is huge. So I'll pull these out, and the chooks can have them. And I'll keep my little grow groups. Okay, that's why it did not want to come out. So I might grab a knife and give that a bit of a hack first. And then we have roots. Massive root neck. Mess of roots. Okay, so luckily these little guys are reusable, so I will whack some more basil in these and put them back in. And now it's time for the basil. So try and break up the roots below it. And they all come apart relatively easily, at least when it's flooding. And then I will just whack these guys each in one of these, and then whack them all in the bed. Okay, so last thing to do is I've got to replant everything because I want to have a nice continual crop of everything going through there. So this is my little seed collection. It's basically a way that I can keep track of what I've got in there, what seeds I've got, what grows well, what doesn't, what I like. And I've got lots and lots of little seeds in here and lots of different types. So I'll figure out which ones I actually want to grow, and then I will plant them in there. I might try out a whole lot of these guys. So these are green minginettes. I'm sorry if I didn't pronounce that properly, but I might put a whole lot of those guys in there and see how they go. Okay, so planting in this bed really couldn't be any simpler. I've got the area and nice soft soil here that I'm going to put everything in. So I'll get some of my seed, if I can get it open. And then I will basically just sprinkle it around. Now I'll probably put down more than what I need here, so I'll thin out what I don't want. But it all should come up quite quick and quite nicely. And then once that one's grown quite nicely, growing quite well, I'll harvest and then I'll replace it with this lot. So I'll have a nice continual stream of lettuce coming out of the system. And here is my nice little pile of stuff that I just pulled out of the system, and I have a very nice use for that. Okay, now this is the best use for getting rid of them. I've got the ladies in there. And then they will munch up all that. Okay, so I did a video probably about 2-3 weeks ago, and my tomatoes looked like they were coming to an end. Like it was the end of the season, they were getting a bit ratty and everything. But I think I figured out why they're come back. Because if you have a look behind me, they're growing again quite happily. So I'll show you what I think it was. Trout power. So these guys are my new little additions to the system. I've got about 40 trout fingerlings in here, and they seem to absolutely love the food. The first time I've had trout, and they go nuts. They just zoop around. They're always moving the entire time they're there, and it's no wonder they grow so quickly so fast. And they were cheap. They're about 70 cents each, which I think is fantastic. So if you're in
South Australia, go for a trip to Tooparong Trout Farm, and they'll look after you.
So this is what growth looked like beforehand. So this is what it was about 2 weeks ago, and they just looked a little bit spindly and not particularly happy. But as you can see, I've got fruit popping up again everywhere, and I have a lot more growth. So I think I've been a bit understocked for the amount of tomatoes that I actually had growing in here and everything else. And everything has just pretty much come back to life, which I'm quite happy with. So hopefully I should get another few rounds of fruit out of this lot before it gets a bit too cold. But it's a nice sunny day today, so I think I've got a bit of time. So you guys, thanks for watching, and keep tuned for the next video coming out.